Okay, so hopefully you can all hear me now, and a very good afternoon to everyone. Can someone confirm that you can hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can hear. Thank you.
Fantastic. Good, good, good. That's great. So I have a connection, obviously, on with me as well. So if you do write things in the chat, then hopefully I can see what you're writing. So that's why I have two connections. One is myself and one is the camera. So welcome to everyone who's joined today's workshop. The topic, as you all know, attitude is everything. Is it everything? Is it not? Well, my own experience through my life of spirituality, through this long journey that I've been on. And I would have to say that attitude is sort of like a filter, a middle stage. It kind of is in between what happens in my inner world, which are my thoughts, my feelings, and even deeper than that, my own inner awareness or consciousness. And then the outer world, which is where I have, various situations, personalities that then trigger me. And then obviously there will be a reaction. So attitude is somewhere in between. Attitude is what lies between the inside and the outside. Attitude very much fueled by what is already inside me, what is already in my programming, what is already in my wiring. So that's why I feel, for me, attitude is sort of like that one thing that if I can keep my eye on, if I can keep check on, it gives me a very clear idea of how I, the inner self, is responding or reacting to the outer world. So does that sound right to you? I hope it does. And why is attitude such an important thing? Well, I think one of the greatest factors for me is that attitude comes from what is stored inside me. So my attitude is an attitude that shows, in a way, what my entire journey has been like. In fact, not just the journey, but how much I've dealt with what happened on the journey, how much I've processed the things that have impacted on my heart throughout that journey. So attitude is a very good entry point into starting a journey of self-realization, self-discovery, and self-change, I guess, ultimately. So if you check your attitudes towards people, towards events, towards circumstances, situations, check your attitude towards different cultures, towards nature, towards anything. And this will be the sum total of everything that you have been taught in your life, that you have learned. But it will also be what you carry forward. You know, what you carry forward in terms of your then responding to the outside world. And honestly, I think one of the reasons I started my spiritual journey is because I wanted to see some inner change. I badly needed to see myself becoming a more peaceful, a more loving, a more harmonious person. And I knew that definitely not one, but many things needed to be sorted out. And I'm sure that for you too, the reason that you've joined this call, or perhaps you're on a spiritual journey, is because you want to be a more elevated, a better human being, a much more upgraded version of the current you. So where does it all begin? Well, it begins with actually sorting out the wiring that I have, the programming that I have inside, whatever has had an impact or whatever's been imprinted on my heart. And a lot of the energy that I have taken in during the course of my journey, I'm not even aware of. So it goes straight inside, it penetrates into the soul, and it gets stored inside me. And it gets stored as different experiences and memories. And even deeper than that, it gets stored as part of my consciousness, part of my belief system. And that kind of operates automatically. Sometimes I don't even realize that it's there and it's kind of operating in the background. It's a little bit like your heart is beating now, right? Your stomach is digesting food. Blood is circulating in your body. Are you telling all that to happen? No. It's happening automatically. It's involuntary. It's just there. It's a mechanism. It's a machinery that's working. In the same way, attitude. Often it's picking up things that are stored deep inside me, that I'm not even logically making an effort to understand, but it's showing up in my attitude. And yes, of course, the external environment triggers me. And that's okay, you can be triggered. But the reality is, where is this attitude coming from? And how can I change it? And why should I change it? Well, I'll tell you one thing. Attitude, your attitude, creates a vibration. Your attitude comes from the vibration you have stored inside, and your attitude creates a vibration. So, for example, if, let's say, in your childhood, you were taught that going to court is a very bad thing. Anyone who has to enter the court or any judicial system, oh, it means that you've done something very bad, or that you're in trouble. So suppose that is sat into your sort of psyche, in your subconscious mind. And now imagine that tomorrow you have to get a job working as a secretary in the court. Nothing to do with the legal system. But the idea of, oh my God, I have to go to court for an interview. I have to go to this, this place. So already it will start to create some disturbance inside because of what you have stored inside. So your attitude is already tainted. Your attitude is not clean, it's not clear, it's not pure. It's an attitude that has already been sort of molded. So it could be the same for anything. It could be somebody who was taught, animals. Don't keep animals inside the house because they're dirty. And other people who love to have their animals inside, they bathe them every week. And, some people even have their animals, their cats, their dogs on their sofas, on their beds. So whatever is my attitude in life towards anything and everything, it's basically coming from my past. It's coming from the impact that the past has had on me. And a lot of this is, as I said, working automatically in the background. So for example, you might go to someone's house and they have maybe cats and dogs at home, and you don't mean to sound judgmental or critical, but you go, oh my God, they're in the house. Now, just the tone of your voice, it came from an attitude. Why? Because that's what you're programmed with. It's not good, it's not bad, but it's just there within you. So in that way, we have thousands, tens of thousands of mini little programs inside us. And all put together, they create our personality. And that affects my attitude. So an attitude creates a vibration. My attitude creates a vibration. And that energy, that vibration that I send out gets picked up by people. Interesting, right? And not only that, the attitude I have then also creates the atmosphere around me. You know, one thing is that the energy is radiating out and people are picking it up, but actually you start to create an atmosphere that then impacts the hearts of others. Isn't that interesting? People's hearts are imprinted by the atmosphere they walk into more than the things they see and the words people speak. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? So, for example, you might have gone somewhere and you heard a good talk or a lecture, and yes, you agree, everything they said was wonderful. But the atmosphere that you experienced of so many people together, maybe it was, the lighting, maybe it was something. The atmosphere gets imprinted even deeper than the logical mind. The atmosphere gets imprinted onto the heart. And when the atmosphere gets imprinted onto my heart, then it's very hard to erase that. And even if people try to tell me something different, that's why, sometimes you might remember someone who you met in the past. You've forgotten what they've said to you. You've forgotten the context in which you met, but you'll never forget how they made you feel. That is the imprint on the heart. It's these imprints inside that I have that affect my attitude. So I hope that's making sense to you all till now. I'm just checking to see if there are any questions. If you'd like to ask questions or make comments, please do so in the chat box. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so far nothing, but you're most welcome to actually ask anything you need to. So this is a very interesting relationship between my attitude that's coming from my past to then the vibrations, the energy that I give out, to the way I create an atmosphere in any situation I walk into, even my own home. Here I am sitting at home, people walk in, before they even meet me, it's the atmosphere that hits them. Many people come to our meditation center and they say, it feels so peaceful here. And that's because of the practice of meditation, the energy of meditation that's spread. But it's also because of a very welcoming attitude, an attitude in which we all know and we all understand that everybody is welcome to come to the center. So that attitude spreads into the atmosphere and it creates an impact when people walk in. So atmosphere, I don't know if you've ever kind of broken that word apart. Atmos in Greek means the soul, the inner self, the Atma in Hindi, the Atmos. And sphere, as you know, it is the area that surrounds. So it is like, each one of us is a walking, talking atmosphere, really, isn't it? So wherever you go, your attitude is, vibrating out from you, and you're creating like a bubble. And when people come towards you, they feel the effect of that bubble. They feel the energy, and that actually touches their heart. So what you say has some impact, but the atmosphere is already starting to impact on them. So I'm assuming that the reason that you've joined this call is because perhaps you would like to change your attitude. Therefore, your responses to certain situations in life. And I guess what creates difficulty, or what is the block, is many of my past mini programs that I said, that we have actually imbibed from life. And these mini programs, these sort of things that have been pre-recorded, pre-programmed inside us, They are playing in the background, sometimes without me even realizing. So unless I change all of that, my attitude to life can't change. My attitude starts to remain kind of cast in concrete. So if I want to change all of that, then I guess I need to check my attitude today. I need to talk to myself and question myself, well, where did that attitude come from? Why are you feeling that way? Why did you respond that way? And then kind of dive deep into yourself and try and find out, what is it that I have inside me that has been programmed that tells me that I should respond in this way? I think one of the hardest responses, the most challenging ones, is when I become judgmental and critical. So to be judgmental and to be critical about anything and anyone. This kind of attitude, this kind of energy that's going out is it's very negative. The impact it has on people really pushes people away. But where did my attitude of being so judgmental and critical come from anyway? It came from something that I've experienced in my past. Whether I remember it, whether I don't, it's still sitting there as an experience in my subconscious mind, and it's not processed. And therefore, it's working in the background, and I'm using that to then respond to life, to actually react most of the time. So most of the time, I'm not thinking through my responses. I'm just shooting out reactions. So do you see how if I want to change my attitude, I actually need to check what's happening inside? The word attitude comes from the Greek or Latin aptitude, and aptitude means my posture, my position. So many times, we put ourselves in a position where perhaps my ego or my false self, my belief system about myself, which is not really true, puts me in a position of superiority. And I look down on people and I judge people and I feel critical towards people. And sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it. But that energy that's going out, I can see it's not working. So how does this work? How do I then change that? So the other side is that I might have a position that is inferior to people. Maybe I don't feel I'm worthy enough, I'm not good enough, and therefore I become subservient to others. And this is not a subservience where I'm obedient because I want to be. I want to be helping a team or helping a person, but it's a feeling of, I'm being subservient because I have to be this way. It's different when I cooperate with someone and they take the lead and I just support them. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But the feeling of subservience, the feeling of inferiority, that's not right. And so it's almost like, we were all born with an identity that was very pure and very balanced. And it's an identity where we are all equals and we are all part of one family. But as my understanding and my identification of myself changes, either I go to being superiority complex, which is where I think I'm better than you and I have the right to judge you and have the right to criticize you, or I become inferior and I feel like I'm no good. And then I suppress my own self even more. Both are actually inaccurate identifications of myself. And it's because of this inaccurate identification that my position in life, therefore my viewpoint in life, the way I see things, my perspective, it's all wonky, it's all wrong, it's all not accurate as per who I really am. Therefore, my programming is all affected. It all gets corrupted. It's like it's a virus that spreads inside. And then obviously it starts to impact on my life. So if I want to have a good attitude, a positive attitude, an attitude that is always one that tries to understand people, that tries to care for people, an attitude that has a big heart, that accepts people that are different to me, an attitude that is not like, well, you did something and therefore I need to respond in the same way as you. No. If I really want to come to that place of having a very pure, clean, positive attitude, I really need to sort out my programming and everything that has been accumulated inside me. And this is really the role of meditation. Every time I meditate, it's like I come back to the core of my being. I come back to that place which is the real me. The me that is not spoilt and not corrupted, that doesn't have all this programming and, wiring that is faulty, that's affecting me. And I strengthen that perspective. And I strengthen that me, that position of me. And from that perspective, when I see the world and when I interact with the world, I don't have all these preconceived biases, and different notions inside me that are affecting me and filtering what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. Because everything that's stored inside me is a bit like a lens with which I see life, isn't it? So if you put on the lenses of what you saw in your childhood or your teenage years and how that is affecting your life today, you might be seeing the world in a way that's not the way the world is, but the way that you view it, the way you perceive it. Wonderful. It's so, in a way, educating. It's so educative to know this is what's going on inside me. And I know that, often we do come across people and situations, I think specifically people, more than situations, whereby, really they're so different to us. Maybe different is an understatement. Maybe they're really wrong. They're doing something that's incorrect. They're creating sorrow. So people who, you wouldn't want to be like. And I do understand that, you see that kind of behavior and there's a feeling inside that, no, this is not good. This is not accurate. But still, if I am being affected and if my position is being shifted or changed by somebody else's behavior, then I become just like them. If they are wrong and I judge them as being wrong and I treat them as being wrong and my energy towards them as being, you are wrong, you are awful, what chance do I have of being able to help that person change? So in that case, am I actually creating change through my attitude? Or am I actually worsening the situation by having a bad attitude? Do you see what I mean? So, okay, I agree with you. Somebody might be doing something that doesn't seem like it's correct. It's not lawful, it's not caring, it's violent, it's whatever it might be. It's so not in line with, what your virtues, your values, your morals are. So, okay, I agree, they're doing what they're doing, but by me judging them, by me having an energy of criticism, by me hating them, by me having an attitude of, I don't want to have anything to do with you, or look what you're like, you're so wrong, you're terrible. All I'm doing is I'm actually sending more negative energy towards a person who's already negative. How's that going to help the situation? And anyway, who gave me the right to be the judge of the world? Since when did I become the one who's taken it upon myself to judge the world? So this is how it works. So I just thought of sharing with you some thoughts, and then I guess the solution to it all, which is really around know yourself better, and then transform yourself. Because if I shift that mechanism inside me, which is sometimes what we call healing, if I start to heal, if I start to transform, if I start to sort out what's going on inside, then slowly, slowly, I'm not being triggered that much by the world. I'm not being affected by what's going on in the world. And as I'm not being affected by the world, it means that I'm coming back to my original, my real identity, the pure me, the clean me, the uncorrupted me. And as we know, for those who've done the meditation course, I am a point of consciousness. I am, at my very core, love, peace, and happiness. And that's who I will always be. So I think the more I can connect back to that, the more I can understand where my attitudes are coming from. And even if I don't know specifically, it's because of this happened in that happened in my childhood, or this happened, some failure in my life or whatever. Even if I don't know where it's coming from, but I can see that this attitude needs to be transformed. And my belief system and my understanding that's making me have such negativity, having such a negative response or reaction, needs to be sorted out. Just understanding that is the process of starting to clean myself up. Okay, so I've been speaking now for half an hour. Let me just see if there are any questions that you'd like to ask or any comments. Yes, somebody is saying the vibrations can actually be felt from another country. I totally agree. If there's one part of the body that is in pain, the other part of the body also, feels it. And this world, we're all interconnected. And so if there's a part of the world that has an attitude of negativity or has an attitude where they're in pain, naturally that energy, that vibration spreads without barriers throughout the entire world. Yeah. And somebody else has also said you can also feel the negative atmosphere in a room. Absolutely. You can feel good atmosphere, bad atmosphere, and usually we respond in the same way. Sometimes you may not be able to even speak the language of a person. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, where you don't know someone's language, but you can interact with them on the basis of just your energy and and the vibrations. Pasant has an interesting comment. Sometimes it's hard to switch to our original pure self if we are immersed in a complicated world. Well, this is very true, Pasant. No matter what anyone says, the world is extremely complex. There are layers and layers and layers of attitudes working within each individual. There's layers and layers and layers of programming. And I don't think, we can ever get to the bottom of what makes one person's attitude the way it is, or what makes someone else's attitude the way it is, So I think it's sort of like I have to take responsibility only for me. I don't think I can take responsibility for anyone, definitely not the world. And if you ask me, I honestly feel the world is going to become more complex and more complicated. And if I can add on a few more words, more violent, more painful, more distressed. So what am I going to do? What's my response going to be? Am I going to let that drag me down into more degradation inside, into more confusion inside? Or am I going to see the signal of time and realize that time is calling me to do something better? Time is calling me to be something better. Time wants me to rise up, to upgrade, so that I can be the one who is stable in a world that is in chaos. I can be the one who is loving and who is forgiving in a world that is full of hatred. Because if I don't, I'll get pulled into all that madness as well. Okay, so there's another question, I think, that's come through. Yeah. Most people do not realize that they have an attitude that needs to be changed. Yeah. How do you evaluate your attitude? I think to be satisfied or to be comfortable with who I am is something that we all strive for. You know, whenever my attitude is not quite right, it means I'll end up with situations where I look back and I think, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Or I could have done this differently. I could have done it better. I could have said something better. So if I'm feeling that the energy I'm sending out, the words I'm speaking, my behavior carries some of that negative energy, where when I look back at the end of the day or sometime later and I think, oh, it could have been better managed, then obviously my attitude was being affected by my old programming. I understand that the situation around you might have been quite negative, and so you get triggered. But ultimately, who is getting triggered? It's me. Where is that trigger? It's inside me. So, you know, if you honestly can put your hand on your heart and say that my response was very loving, very peaceful, it was not affected by the person's behavior, it was coming from the core of my being, then your attitude is okay. That's the evaluation. But if my attitude has been, you know, a little bit, what can I say, corrupted, then definitely I'll feel that I am being triggered into a particular behavior, which is not my best. And then you know your attitude is being affected. I hope that helps. Was that on the phone in Chinese? And it was so clear. The speaker was very angry. Yeah, well, at least you have the voice to hear there, you know, Jamila. Sometimes there's no body language that's evident. There's no speaking. But yet, you can feel people's attitude. Even body language, if somebody's, you know, making noise in the kitchen or running up and down, or thumping their hand around, you can tell, okay, this person's upset about something, right? But sometimes the attitude is there, even though those physical, visible signs are not. And you can pick it up in the atmosphere. You can feel it. And that is what gets imprinted on the heart. So imagine your attitude today is getting imprinted in many people's hearts. Are you making the world a better place? Or are you sharing anything that's negative out there? Because I think it's time that each one of us starts to take full responsibility for our energetic state, for our attitude, for the effect that I am having on others around me. Because I'm also part of this world. And if I want the world to be a better place, I need to start here. So awareness is the key, absolutely. Awareness of myself. So Dee is saying, this is so interesting, having old attitudes emerge on autopilot, identifying and catching in time to change and realizing their ineffectiveness or their lack of benefit. It is totally our journey if we are switched on. If I really want to change myself and I want to, I like to use the word upgrade myself, you know, to become a better me. What I find personally is that a lot of the time, people are quite happy continuing to justify their behavior and saying, of course I'm going to be like that. Look at how you're behaving. It's my responsibility to make you realize that's not my responsibility. Not at all. It's not my job to threaten people, to judge people, to criticize people, to force my ideas on people, you know, to make people feel like I'm responsible for their life. No, that is so not my business. That's between them and life. I'm responsible for my responses and my way of thinking, my way of reacting, my way of my posture. Going back to that word, it's the attitude, it's the position that I am taking. And I'm finding more and more, it's kind of like a little bit of a self-checking I'm doing these days, but it's also an effort that I'm putting into my spiritual life, and that is that these days I'm really trying to see everyone with the eyes of love, and along with that love, understanding. So even people who are behaving in ways that to me feel like this is totally nonsensical, I don't understand how anyone could be this way. Even in those situations, I'm asking myself, well, what's my position? What choice am I going to make for my response? And I refuse to go down the track of hatred. And I refuse to go down the track of saying, this person is guilty, or that side is guilty, or these are wrong. No, I'm just holding love in my vision and lots of good wishes. So an attitude of fearing everything, can that be changed? Fear is one of the most, negative energies that we can hold. Fear is based on very deep inner insecurity. If I'm scared of losing something or someone, then there will be fear. And I could have, fear of losing a human being through death. I could have fear of losing my reputation by somebody saying something about me. I could have fear of losing money, losing possessions, losing my job. I think on the top of the charts is the fear of death, which again is such a myth, isn't it? Because I am a being within this body. I came into this body, it will live for so long, and I will go. This is a fact of life. So there is no death. The soul will just fly away. The body has to be dealt with, but I'm not going to die. I'm immortal. So again, all fears begin with the feeling of wanting to hold on to something and the fear of losing it, really. But the reality is nothing is yours. You might think you're holding on to something, but actually you're stealing from life. Nothing belongs to you. Even this body doesn't belong to you. Everything has been loaned to you. You're a guest in this world, and everything and everyone is on loan. How does that make you feel? So, even the perception of, the fear that I'm going to lose someone or something, it's just, again, it's something that someone told me, or maybe something I was taught when I was younger. But actually, it's not true. And I need to relook at that. And once you let go of all the false things inside you, then there won't be any fear. The fear is only there because you're holding on to, some kind of perception of loss, of something that's not even yours. It's such a joke, really, isn't it? So, yeah. So D says acronyms for fear: false evidence appearing real, face everything and respond, forget everything and relax, finding excuses and reasons. Yeah. So this is it, it's falsehood that I've been taught, that I need to defend and I need to cling to. But actually, it's like trying to cling to water. You can't hold on to water. You can hold it like this and it'll be there for a while, but it still will ultimately seep through cracks in your fingers. But you can't hold on to water like this. And the same way I can't hold on to possessions, position, even property. It's none of that is mine. Even people are not mine. The only thing I take with me is myself. Okay, so anyone else have any questions or comments before we go into some meditation and finish for the day? Anyone want to say something, or anyone wants to reply to anything? No? Okay. Yes, we have someone in the room. Arif is in the room.
To
Thank you.
understand my attitude, one is to realize and to self-check and see how I feel. If my posture is not right, of course, there will be pain. But sometimes my posture is not right, and I don't know that my posture is not right. And you'll start hearing people telling you, what happened to you? Why are you walking this way today? Or why have you been, slightly, and the people that know you the most are the ones who are closest to you. And if those people have any comments, it's worthwhile. I'm not saying everyone, but if you hear 3-4 people telling you the same thing, it might be that you need to check your attitude. So that's from the question that we had earlier.
Yeah, so you get feedback from the world, don't you, in a way? And then I think the greatest feedback is your own realization of what's happening inside you. Because I think when you realize for yourself, that's when change is possible. Yeah. Okay, so would you like to do a little bit of meditation then for a few minutes before we end? So if you can all find a comfortable position for the body, just relax. And allow your thoughts to come to the here and now. And I take a few breaths, a few deep breaths. As I center my awareness to the real me. I remember that I am that inner self, the inner being. The thinking, feeling being. Living through this body. I am that being. Who is on a journey through life. I'm a traveler through life and a guest in this world. And so nothing that I see around me is really mine. Everything happening on the outside is in constant change. Life is changing. People come into my life and go. That too is changing. I, the being, in this body. I'm the only thing that will be with myself forever. Even my thoughts, my opinions, my feelings towards life keep changing as I mature and grow. So in this moment, I ask myself, what attitude do I want to have towards life? With what attitude do I want to walk through my life? Do I want to walk through my life with my old programming, my old ways of thinking, all the baggage that I've accumulated along the way, all the impressions from life? Or do I want to go back to being the real me? The one who is clean and pure, positive, loving, and peaceful. Because at every moment, I have a choice. I have the choice to choose my attitude. I ask myself, how can I upgrade my attitude right here, right now? Can I change my feelings towards a particular person, towards a memory of the past? Towards a situation that occurs regularly? How can I shift my inner programming, my belief system, my old thoughts and feelings to be able to respond in a more positive way? So now just allow yourself to come back to the awareness of where you are. Remember, you have a choice to position yourself in life. And that position will determine your attitude. Thank you. Okay, so I'm sorry, I've logged out. Mhm. Thank you. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. Sometimes just little conversations like this, they can trigger a little bit more inner work and a few more realizations about myself. And that's all it's all about. And it's good for me too, because it makes me think deeper about where I'm at. So thank you all for joining, and see you again. Next week is an Arabic workshop, but the Saturday after is an English workshop. So you're probably going to get notifications about that anyway. Have a wonderful evening.